this so much. I am beyond proud of you. I will probably get emotional because I have been able to have a front row seat to your process, to your journey, not only as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, but also as an author. As an author, let's make that real clear. Woo! I love adding that to your list of titles. Yeah,
it's so many titles.
It's so many titles, but that's also like a big part of your journey. So I'm really excited to get into the conversation because even though like, yes, I know you so deeply, I also want people to get to know some of those intricate parts that only you have experienced as entrepreneurs. So to jump right in, first of all, can you walk us a little bit through your journey as an entrepreneur and what led to your passion of developing people?
Ooh, such a great question, Stacy. So I always say entrepreneurship chose me. I had every intention to go to college and get a regular job because I was always for stability, believe it or not, although I've lived a very high-risk life. But yeah, after graduating from college, I went to school for fashion and business, and then after graduating from college, I couldn't find a job. Then I enrolled into design school, still couldn't get a real job, waiting tables and doing all types of side hustles. And so in my journey of like trying to figure out what does my career look like, I decided to start traveling. I was like, let me get out of Texas. So I went to New York, had a free internship there, realized quickly that didn't want to be a starving artist because I couldn't get a job there as well because they wanted you to have experience. And so it was just constant doors being closed. And I was like, I'm just going to have to take ownership of this and choose my own path. And so right around 2014, Instagram came out, like 2011? 2012 or so. So yeah, coming out of college in 2014, 15 was when I was really trying to figure out what my career looked like. That's also when I needed to really like pour into myself and like motivate myself along the way. So I know a lot of people see me as like, daily inspiration, but really I started doing inspiring videos on social for myself. And then it just ended up being really engaging content. And then I started learning graphic design. I started learning web design. I just started learning all these skills that could allow me to create and like share my story. And then it eventually attracted people that wanted me to do the same thing for them. And I was like, okay, yeah, let me figure out how to make an invoice and make this a business. And so that's kind of where the like professionalizing my journey and making it a real thing. So yeah, and I just kind of like went through the ebbs and flows with that. I was actually having a conversation with a young entrepreneur today, and she's 20 years old, and she's like, I'm still trying to figure out everything. She's like, so when did you like really feel like secure in what you do? I said 3 years ago. She was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I've been in this journey for 10 years. Honestly, 2020 was probably one of my best years, but it was just due to all of the groundwork I had did prior to. So there's more to it, but I just didn't want to, I didn't want to do that.
But how did all of that develop into also having a passion for developing people? Because another thing I've seen up close is as people have asked you to help them, it doesn't just start with like their business. You go all the way back and start going through what we're going to walk into, which is the faith-focused formula. But how did it become a passion for people?
So to be honest, I discovered my passion for developing people in college. So I'm a member of the most prestigious, largest co-ed business fraternity called Alpha Kappa Psi. Are there any bros in here? Yeah, let's go.
That was it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so I've always been like an overachiever, but when I joined the fraternity, I was taking 18 hours, working 2 jobs. There was a lot going on. But once I joined, shortly after we impeached our president, and they were seeking for someone to take that role, and they were like, yeah, we think it should be you. And I'm like, this is my senior year. I'm trying to just focus on graduating. So anyway, I took on the role, and it really opened my eyes to my capabilities to break communication barriers and get people from all different backgrounds on the same page to accomplish one goal. And I wasn't always liked, but I was always respected. And the impact I was able to make in that 12 months just kind of, it just opened my eyes to like, wow, I really like developing people. And so as I developed brands and I developed my branding agency, I just realized I had way more fulfillment in working with the CEO or the influencer as an individual and helping them monetize and create those revenue streams around their brand. And so mind you, I was doing this for them and not myself. So it was just interesting how a lot of people trusted me with their career, with their brand or business, just based off of my faith and my confidence in us being able to create something out of nothing. So yeah, it really started in college, and I just continued to nurture that. But honestly, it was just a lot of people trusting me. People trust me easily. I'm grateful for that, and I honor that, and I value that, and I'm always vocal about it. But I think people trusting my leadership kind of walked me into where I'm at today.
Right. Which would be now you putting everything into the faith-focused formula. So what's the inspiration behind the book, and what problem were you trying to solve?
So back in 2019, that's when I was like, you know what? When it came to branding, I think now when you talk about branding, people understand the value of it. But early 2016, 17, that era, I just didn't see people really understanding as well as investing in branding services. They wanted them, but they didn't necessarily knew what it all took to actually develop a brand. And so it was just a lot of work. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get way more impact, and I want to pivot from focusing on branding and focusing on personal development. So 2019 was like my year of figuring out what that shift looked like. And 2020 just so happened when I was trying to develop my first course. I was like, let me start a course and start educating people on mindset, on how to develop systems, and I feel like I'll get more fulfillment out of that. And so during the pandemic, I created a free masterclass called, I forgot what the name, I think it was like, I can't remember the name of it because it's been too long. But anywho, this book, it originally was a masterclass that I did in a webinar and helping people figure out how to eliminate distractions and focus. And to be honest, the original formula was like so complicated. Like it was like faith plus direction plus discipline multiplied by, I was like, girl, nobody about to remember that. You have to condense this and then you're gonna put this into a book. So anywho, it became a masterclass. And then later, another like business person that I met had challenged me to create a 10-day challenge with the things I was wanting to cover. So then after I wrote out a 10-day challenge, I was like, I might as well write a book at this point. Now, mind you, I've always wanted to be an author, but I never knew at what period of my life. And so due to me just educating myself and honing in on financial literacy, understanding the importance of passive income, to be honest, that was another pusher because I'm like, I need other passive streams of income besides things that are tied to my time. I'm not a mother yet, I'm not a wife yet, but when that time comes, that's gonna be my full-time job, so I need to really diversify my income. So it was a lot of different decisions or factors that had me make the decision to write the book, but I also felt like, you know, as I was developing these other businesses, my business acumen was increasing, my overall value was increasing, which means my hourly rate was increasing. And my primary target audience it just wasn't as affordable, especially like I know from experience that it's hard when you're starting. And so this book now allows me to have a way to connect with more people and create more impact without me having to be there, which was probably one of the biggest challenges, honestly, because y'all know, like, I like to talk, I like to present, I like to, I'm like, oh, they have to read this book without me? Yeah, that was a challenge.
But if you read it, your voice is it's all you, and even the way, like, you go through some of the exercises in the book, it's very much like Precious is sitting next to you, letting you know, I know it's hard, I've been here before, let's go through it together. So just letting you guys know that when you dive into the book. And that also leads me to even elaborating more on the problem you were trying to solve. The book dives so deep into two relationships that we have in our lives, our relationship with time and our relationship with money. Tell me about your relationship with time and your relationship with money.
Yes. Zoe, calm down. Okay.
Called out.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that.
So yes, time and money. Man. Okay. So let me just backtrack. So with the faith-focused formula, I don't want to minimize the faith aspect because my faith and my walk with Christ was a big part of my entrepreneurial journey, which is why I believe I was able to sustain myself to get to the point where I'm at now. And so with me being very intentional so I define faith as the belief system that shapes the story of your reality. And so I was very conscious of the story I would tell myself, even when I was sleeping living with my sister and sleeping in my niece's twin bed. Even when I was in LA couch surfing, living on Stacy's couch, like I was very conscious of the thoughts I was telling myself. And so with me centering myself in my faith, I believe prosperity being our birthright and us being rooted in abundance, like that's directly tied to me being able to center myself to be able to get access to money and being able to attract those opportunities. And so I had to constantly condition myself to be able to be in the position that I am in now. And so my relationship with money has definitely evolved over the years. I think I really honed in on my abundance mindset, once again, probably 2020, only because I was just in a very like manifesting phase or journey. I read this book called The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, and it just kind of opened my mind to what does Christ within me actually mean? Because I've heard the scripture so many times, but to know that I am an individual expression of God, and if God created all things, then that means I should be able to have access to all things, which means like there's nothing I cannot do or not have. So once I leaned into that, things just started happening like with ease. And so although life is challenging, but it gets pretty simple. And so tying it back to time and money, when it came to my definition of money is that it's energy that's constantly flowing. So if I don't have it, that's because I'm telling myself I don't have it. And even today, like I'll give this short story because I know I want to be conscious of everyone's time. But even today, I have a lot going on, which I'm not going to elaborate on all the projects and things I'm working on with my different businesses and organizations. But I had to really put this event together by myself just due to my capacity. I didn't have the capacity to communicate or delegate. So I just kind of made it happen. But I had to have a conversation with myself of like, okay, you had this vision and you know you have access to a lot of resources. So I think sometimes we forget what we really have access to. And when I tell y'all all the coupon codes started popping up, all the little sales, like, oh, I got a discount, go to HEB. The guy gave me his employee discount. I'm like, okay, God, I see you. So it's like, I got so many savings. So it's like, it went from me being like, okay, I'm 3 days away. I don't know what's going to happen to, okay, let me center myself. Let me look at my vision. Let me see what's possible. And God's going to come through. And when I got my hair done today with my hairstylist, she was like, your spirit is so at peace today. Like, you're not on the phone, you're not, I was like, I'm so grateful for that because that was part of my meditation this morning. So it's showing up. So it's just like, just really knowing like we truly have the power within ourselves to like change our situation. We just have to like quiet the noise, And so tying it to time now, I've had a relationship with time since, now I know when I'm conscious of when I don't know if my mom knows before this, but in middle school, I would write my schedule for the day. Like, wake up at 6, brush my teeth 6:01, 6:02, put my clothes on, 6:02. Like, I stumbled across a little piece of paper. I was like, I'm insane. Like, why was I writing this at 12 years old? What type of schedule did I have at 12 where I'm having to like put all these time increments?
I also want to say that we did our birth charts once, just kind of figuring out our different relationships with time as we've been in a relationship as friends for so long. And she was born at like 5 in the morning.
5:11 a.m.
5:11 a.m.
On a Monday.
I'm a 6:19 p.m. girl. So you see how we were learning about each other. I was like, okay, so you're going to do this 4 a.m. thing our whole friendship. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm going to track that. So I love that because she's told me about the mom story as well. So I just
so I've always been conscious of time as a kid. And I think I've always been like an organized person. So then when you tie that to me channeling my abundant mindset and being a businesswoman, I started learning the value of time even more. And so yeah, that's kind of been my journey with time. And as I get older, I realize how much people are not conscious of time.
And I want to get into that. See, so everybody's into it. Okay, got it. I love that. Okay, so with that, I want to follow up on that.
Yes, let's dive deeper.
Because you've worked with so many different people in their businesses, individuals, entrepreneurs, all the things. What do you think the common thread is that people are afraid of when it comes to their time?
The common thread I've seen is like, one, a lot of people just track time in their mind. And if you have like mundane tasks, you don't feel like you have a real schedule. You just feel like you're doing the same thing every day. So what's the point of me trying to get so technical about it? And I think the other piece is too, sometimes it's a little, what's the word I want to use? when we think about just like the stressors that come with life, like when you have downtime, you do that. Like you're down. Like you sleep or you rest or you do whatever. And so I think when you don't have that, depending on the environment you're around will definitely determine like you being inspired or motivated to do something more. But I think the common thread is people just like not really wanting to get, I think when we get out of school, people kind of like throw away the organizational skills. And I'm like, no, still need those. Still got to be organized. You still need some type of planner. You still need those types of things. And so, yeah, I think that's really what it is. People just, it may come off as like a very, I don't want to use the word technical, but like what's the word? Tedious. Yeah, it may come off as like a tedious task to do so. But I tell people like literally, if you take 1 hour to plan out your week, you can have a totally different conversation with yourself throughout the week. You know, like there's just 1 hour. Yeah. Like I've even realized like when I have my planning time, I start with what's not getting done this week. Because typically it's like, oh, let me make the long list and try to fit everything in. But you know, we do have to make the list, but I'm getting even more and more honest with myself about what my capacity is. And that's something I'm like, I think I may even write like a blog post or something about it, because I think we're all trying to learn what our true capacity is. Because I just think historically we're just like, in our DNA, it's to work. It's to be productive. It's to provide. It's to hustle. Like we've had no choice for those of us of color, of the Black African diaspora. So with that being in our DNA of like, if you're not producing, you're not worthy, is like, it's a tough paradigm to like break. And so I think for those of us that are conscious and are seeking that, I'm working through it. Yeah. Of like, okay, I may say my capacity is to, oh yeah, I can work 60 hours a week. That's nothing. Right. No. Right. You know, you may think about it like, actually, I probably only want to work 20 hours a week. Yeah. What does that look like?
So how does our faith interact with that elevated mindset?
Girl, you good.
Girl, I know. Because in my mind, I'm like, ooh, we telling a story. My God. So, y'all need to read the book. It's just, yeah.
Faith, I mean, it's a practice, right? So when we're not centering ourselves in faith, the opposite is centering ourselves in fear. And so when we're not making that a constant practice, because like even when I was designing this banner here and I was thinking about the core things I want people to come to me for when I talk about services, I had put work-life balance. And I know I've heard a lot of podcasts and things that people say like, oh, there's no such thing. I inserted the word daily because you have to take things day by day. Like your capacity is going to change, your mood's going to change. So it's like you literally have to have a work-life balance per day. And so you have to center your faith every day in order to do so. And so centering faith can look different for everybody. But for me, I'm like, what is the story you're telling yourself every day? Because that is the reality you're going to create. And you have to submit and surrender. And so it's a constant surrendering. It's a constant, I'm like, okay, these are my intentions. This is what I want to do. God, if this is in alignment, let's do it. Every day I say, God, rearrange my schedule as you see fit. That is something that if I open my eyes and I ain't got time to do my full, please, go ahead, cancels, reschedules, whatever that looks like. And then when it happens, I'm like, okay, here we are. This is what we're doing. So I just think it's the conversations we're having with ourselves is what we have to do on a consistent basis in order to really get the change that we're seeking, because nothing changes if nothing changes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I want us to all leave with tangible tools when it comes to planning, because planning is annoying. It's like gorgeous, but it's annoying, right? So you talk about how to do it a few ways, but can you talk about some of the unhealthy ways that we walk into planning so that we can also now see the healthier ways to do so?
Unhealthy ways of planning. So
planning and or striving for something.
Yeah. Well, one, I think sometimes we want to just execute and just want to get to it. And it's like when you take the time to plan, it allows you to actually do the research required to see what it takes to actually make this happen. And I think there is an aspect of like building the plane while it's in the air. But I think sometimes you have to, when it comes to I'm trying to center my mind around just like bad habits that we've all done when it comes to like planning. For the one thing is like not being able to like really see things through before you get started. And I think the other piece is like actually trusting yourself. Like, I think when we lead into things and we don't fully trust ourselves and then we start executing, it's like now you feel defeated before you even really, really get started. And so I think that's one thing that holds us back when it comes to planning is like just leading with that fear-based mindset of like, this may not work, but let me see. And it's like, no, well, if that's the energy you're giving it, that's exactly what that outcome is going to look like. So I think that's one thing that we do. We just really don't really give ourselves space to flourish. Like once again, the story that we tell ourselves, that's what's really going to drive it. But I think one of the other unhealthy things that we do, I'm over here trying to think, because I had so much good stuff. Sorry, y'all, we did a pre-interview before this.
So
and it was just coming off the dome.
Because one of the ones you talked about, which I loved, was the team no sleep.
Ooh, thank you.
Right? And just thinking that makes you a more productive person.
Yes.
Can you dismantle that?
So, side note, I'm the friend that doesn't have the best memory, and so I'm grateful for Stacy, for Lauren, for Kiara, that they can just go all the way back.
And in 2015,
and they can
wore
bring
that
me back,
dress.
and I'd be like, oh, okay, got it. So I just needed that nugget. So yes, that is very unhealthy. I am not team no sleep. I am, depending on the season, maybe team less sleep, but sleep is like our superpower. That is like when we recharge. That is when we can dream. We can be imaginative. So when we're not operating without sleep, it's not healthy. And I think too, like it was an error for that. You know, you have the bad boy Diddy days, because I know he was really pushing that movement when you have to like work hard. But there's so many resources now where it's like really if you just sit down and think for 3 months and plan it out and then say, okay, analysis paralysis, let me go ahead and put these things into action, I can get some stuff done. But even for me, when I'm planning, I'm mindful of, okay, what days am I gonna get my 7 hours? Or like, okay, well, this day I'm gonna sleep in. Like, I prioritize my sleep before I prioritize my business. And I don't think that's a common practice. It's like, I'll sleep whenever and it's like, nah, bro, that's not how that works. It's not the healthiest way.
Can you also walk us more into like communicating with your family, your friends about where you are, how much time you have the capacity to give them, what it looks like to be able to like switch your communication in different seasons without people saying like you switched up, and it's like, no, something switched up, and learning how to communicate that?
Whew, this is real kumbaya. I said one day I was gonna, like, when I buy my house, I'm gonna have a big all-white party and invite my family, and we're just gonna talk about my entrepreneurial journey. But we could plant a seed right now. But I think communication is something like we all are just trying to do better at. There's so many layers to it, and I understand like the levels of communication, and it's just like, wow, it's a lot. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer. But I say that to say, when you decide to become an entrepreneur, you know, you're so busy trying to figure things out in your head that you sometimes like neglect, you know, the people you love or different things, and it may disrupt relationships. And it's like me being able to help and support and provide that guidance for entrepreneurs moving forward of like how to set the tone and how to ensure that your family can support you. Luckily, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so people kind of understand that concept, but some people don't. And so it's like having those tough conversations of like, hey, this is the season I'm in. And honestly, I had to choose to be a better communicator in order for me to still nourish the relationships I cared about. Because people are in their day-to-day life, you're trying to figure out and design your own. And if you want them to be a part of it, then I have to lead and say, okay, what are we doing for so-and-so birthday? Or what is this? What's happening here? Like, I had to ask those questions because I kind of got annoyed when it was like things happening that I missed it in the group chat or this or that happened. And so I just think when it comes to family, when it comes to your close friends, like, it does take that level of initiative and desire to like want to be a better communicator, because you're going to want them to support you and like be there whenever you get to that specific destination that you're going to.
Right. With the faith focus from us, so we've talked about the faith part. Focus is hard. Like, they made sure it's hard with the apps. Thread just came out and they were like, come on. And I'm like, what's up? We just want to sleep. I didn't want to rebuild, you know. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. That was me. I still got on it. But anyway.
I created an account.
I was like, whatever. I mean, you know. But the focus part is just so big, right? Like, let's talk tangibly about how we can all find the focus within us in a more, like I say, healthy, more compassionate, self-compassionate way of building whatever we're trying to build and doing whatever it is we're trying to do? How can we actually find that focus within us?
So there's two parts to that. First, I want to educate you guys. So if you saw chapter 1 over there, I said that the average person makes 35,000 decisions per day. So if you consider yourself above average, if you're a mom, if you're a business owner, you probably make 2 to 3 times those decisions every single day. And most of those decisions are driven by your subconscious mind. So when you are trying to focus, your subconscious mind or your programming is what's going to click on. And so based on whatever that conditioning is going to determine what you choose to focus on, neglect, or any of those things. And so from a practical standpoint, in the last chapter of the book, it's called Prepare for Distractions. I don't think you can really eliminate distractions because they're just going to always be there. You just have to know what they are and have a plan for them. You know, so like one distraction could be simply the weather, right? It could be a pretty day outside, and that could seem as a distraction. It's cute outside. Let me go ahead and it's like, but wait, what was your goals today? It's like, you know what? Let me focus up, right? And even for me, like sometimes I have it's kind of like I don't know what to call it. Sometimes I'm gonna talk about weather, but there's a few others. But I think with weather, it's kind of like a hit or miss situation because it's good to be spontaneous sometimes. And when it may be a stormy day, right? I may feel like, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to rest. Or I may say, you know what, let me have a concert in my kitchen so I can hype my energy up because I'm not about to let the thunderstorm outside affect what I got to get going on. But it's just having those conversations with myself instead of just like submitting to whatever's happening around you. So that's one thing. Then another thing could potentially be your relationships, right? If you know this person is always late, it's like maybe you should communicate better so that they don't throw you off or throw your energy off. And it's just knowing those things that tick you or that have the capacity to throw you off. Like I know, for instance, there was a period of time where I didn't have a car. Plenty of periods of time where I didn't have a car. Thank God for the journey. But I have siblings that I'm like, you know, asking for rides last minute. It's like, I got to the point to where every week I'd be like, hey, what's up? You need a ride this week? What day? What time? I could do Tuesday. I can't do Thursday. So then if something comes up, you know, I already asked you, you didn't say anything, so don't hit me up. So it's just like really getting honest with yourself, like what are those constant things? So I feel like we're aware of what distracts us. We just haven't put a strategy in place or a plan in place of how am I going to respond to this distraction when it happens. And so I give several different examples in the last chapter of the book, and it's a 100-page read. I had someone tell me that they read it in a day, and I was like, oh my God, you did the exercises too? They was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But I think it's a really good book that you can literally read a chapter a day and just have good things to reflect on and be more conscious about.
Yeah. What was the most vulnerable part for you of writing the book?
Ooh. The most vulnerable was trying to figure out how much of me I wanted to put in it, to be honest. Because when I wrote the book, I didn't want it to be about me, which is why my face is not on the cover. Like, I wanted the focus to be on the tools that I was providing. And so just going through my journey of entrepreneurship, I do add some pieces in there, but it was like very vulnerable to like just really reflect and think back when I was, 16 years old and I'm trying to like really figure out adulting. Like, I think even adults are still figuring it out. We're all trying to figure this thing out. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not a parent yet. I know how much I cost and how to. Anyway, I will have a little family huddle with all the parents when I get there. But yeah.
So can you break down your target audience for the book? Because I would say the book's for everyone, but I know there's a way you want to tell us about your target audience. Correct.
So the book is for everyone, but in the book I tell you that entrepreneurship is not an option. And I want you guys to know, like, entrepreneurship is just you seeking to have multiple streams of income. I'm not saying it's a full-time thing or however you want to do it, but we all have to strive to have different streams of income. So you may identify as the working professional, you may identify as the entrepreneur, you may identify as the business owner, but wherever you fall in that category, you're going to be able to take things away from the book, because however your life is designed and how you function in life is how it's going to happen in business. And so it's important to be mindful of the story you're telling yourself, the vision you have for yourself, as well as how you manage your money and how you manage your time, which is what all the book covers. So, yeah.
I being your friend for 8 years now.
Really? A little longer.
A little longer?
No, I said it feels.
It feels. It definitely does. Oh my God, I love you so much. Okay, but also, so when we first met, I know I had a big challenge with the way she handled time and the way I handled time. As a creative, I was like, I don't like being held down. And I hated, like, it was a schedule. She was always throwing a schedule. I'm like, what's with the calendar? Like, anyway, I didn't mind like a calendar that I could like only use a little bit, but it was like a thing for her. So just imagine where we were. So I bring all that to say that now my relationship with time is like so A1, it's actually annoying to other people. And I'm like, oh, I used to be you. Come over here. It's fun. But it took a while. And I just want to be honest about how much you've really helped me develop my relationship with time and how grateful I am to you and how much I know that the book is just like such a outpouring of your true love, your true inspiration, but also your true lifestyle. Right, I want to highlight that, and I want us all to leave with something tangible when it comes to like reframing, even just a little bit, because it took me some time, right? Just like a couple different steps of, because I had to try a few things, and that's why I brought up self-compassion, because when I would try something and it didn't work, I'd get mad. I'm like, but you said that schedule, I tried that little calendar you gave me, I didn't like that version of myself, right? So then self-compassion came in, and all of a sudden you can try multiple things and find what works for you. So I would like us all to leave with just one tangible reframe of our relationship, either with time or with planning. I'm a Sunday planner. I enjoy it. I'm on Do Not Disturb. I just used it for the first time this year. I'm happy as hell now. But whatever your day is going to be, whether it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, top of the month, whatever it is, how can people reframe their relationship so they can start anew, start afresh, or continue to start over?
Love that. Okay, so I'm going to take y'all on a journey first, right? So I talk about time in the book, with that being the last thing, because I think too, when you're not really intentional on seeking your purpose, you're not going to care about planning or being intentional with your time. And so once you gain clarity about your faith and beliefs, once you gain clarity about your beliefs about God, yourself, and others, step 1. Step 2 is getting clarity on your vision that you have for yourself. Step 3 is actually saying, okay, the vision for this life I see, what does that cost? What does that actually look like? Once you actually know the number that you're like, this is what I want to bring in every year, then you go to, okay, how can I be more intentional with my time? You can't really start planning and wanting to do better with your time if you don't go through those other phases, because then when you do get off and you do get distracted, you don't know what to pull yourself back to. And so you got to go through all that and have those deep conversations with yourself to be like, oh, wow, this is my priority. This is actually my long-term goal. Now I need to figure out what I need to do. So when it comes to time, there's 168 hours in a week. And on average, there's about 9 different categories that I list in the book of how our time is divvied up. And so I need 7 hours of sleep per night. 7 times 7 is 49. I'm already at like 111 hours left. Take away 40-hour work week, we're at 61 hours. Add another business, maybe I do that 20 hours. Talk about family, this and that. So when you do that time reality check exercise, you're gonna be like, wow, either I calculated my hours and it was more than 168, I'm over here just trying to create time out of thin air. Or you'll look and be like, dang, I actually have 20 extra hours a week. How? Where did I get that from? And then that will then motivate you to be like, okay, so I am BSing. I do have time. I just need to be more intentional about it. And so some people may see it as annoying. In my dating life, I've sent guys calendar invites. Some of them have appreciated it. Others were like, that was kind of weird. I was like, okay. Just wanted to make sure you got the pop-up reminder, but okay. But I say that to say it may come off like annoying and weird, but when I plan, I know I have control, right? So it's like planning is setting my intentions for my time, but still submitting to God to do however you want me to do this week, you know? But it's like when he doesn't know your intentions, he doesn't know how to show up for you. So you have to write those things out to communicate and say, okay, here's my intentions for the week, but also be okay with, okay, God, let me give myself grace. Let me let the ebbs and flows. And because, you know, we don't necessarily can't control every single moment. We can control our reaction to it, But at the end of the day, the book is allowing you to be more conscious and intentional with how you are spending your time. But I didn't want time to be part of the title because you need to focus on your faith in order to do so.
Love that. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the. I love that because I definitely feel like throughout the years I've learned and recognized that my systems actually created my spontaneity, and I was like, oh, I'm happier. Look at that. So. To end us, how can people stay in touch with you if they are looking to bring the Clarity Coach into their life, to get your guidance for whatever path that they're going on, and to help focus on their time, their faith, whatever they're working on? How can they keep in touch with you and continue to work with you?
Awesome. So I am known as the Clarity Coach. Okay?
Break down the Clarity Coach first.
So I've had a mastermind coach the past couple years, and as I was like redefining my brand and really I was like, I don't want to be called a life coach because it's just a life coach. I'm like, I'm a businesswoman, but I don't want to be just called a business coach because I'm not going to do business with you if I don't know who you are as a person. And I was like, although my background's in branding, I don't want to just be this brand strategist. I'm like, what is my thing? And so through a couple sessions, clarity sessions with her, and the name just came up. I was like, Clarity Coach. I can give people clarity on their life, brand, and business. Yes, that's it. That's the thing. So I'm the Clarity Queen. All right? You're like, okay, Precious, I'm stuck. What? Okay, let's lay it all out. Let's figure it out. Let's let Holy Spirit activate. Okay, let's go. So I love providing clarity, and I think clarity builds confidence. Clarity plus true interest will really be able to activate and motivate you to take action. And so that's where the Clarity Coach came from. And so now I'm so grateful that I have this book because that's a prerequisite for me to coach you. You got to read the book. You got to do the work. And then you can schedule a session to say like, okay, Precious, I know my goals now. I know what I want to do. This is where I need your support. And so I do offer just like on-demand one-off coaching, but I am going to be launching Inner Circle Mastermind at the end of this year. I did originally say the fall, but there's this thing where like when we're planning, only we know the timeline, so we can change it. So I'm going to be taking a sabbatical in August, and I originally wanted to start it in September, but I didn't want to come off sabbatical and just start working again. So by November-ish, October-ish, I'll probably start promoting it, but it'll be a monthly mastermind. It'll be $35 a month, and we'll meet twice a month. And this will be a place for you to be around decision makers. When you get on this call, it's going to be a group kind of peer mentor coaching where I'm leading. Think about like, it'll kind of be like low-key an exclusive little TV show, because what's going to happen is whenever you register every 2 weeks, you're going to say, hey, this is a decision I'm trying to make, or this is the problem I'm trying to solve. And then I'll randomly pick those and we'll talk through, okay, what's a solution for that? And so every time you get on the call, you'll be able to learn from other people, but get that real-time clarity coaching for a very affordable price. And so I'm looking forward to the Inner Circle Masterminds because I feel like that is going to really boost people to like continue to take consistent action towards their goals. Because it's like I meet with decision makers twice a week, regardless of what industry they're in. We're all here to make a decision about life, our brand, or our business. And I want people to be more effective decision makers. And so I'm excited about the mastermind. And then I will be having like a actual like 6-month coaching program, but I'm just pacing myself, y'all. I really want to just focus in on my book and being able to expand my reach. So I believe this book is for all generations. And so I did have someone place a bulk order, and they're going to be giving those out to college students. So if anyone has relationships, right? Gen Z. Woo, Gen Z. Let's pray for Gen Z. And Gen Alpha, I think they're in the room too. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, so if anyone has any relationships with academic institutions, other organizations, I'm trying to attract the masses, a little business strategy. I'm not relying on social to sell my book. I'm working a B2B strategy of I want to work with people that have a network where I can come speak, sell my books, and be able to create influence on a bigger level. Yes, I appreciate the sales on social, but I'm really trying to connect with those decision makers that have the power of influence where I can then be able to present this information. As well as faith-based organizations and churches. Like, we really need it because it'd be like, I prayed, but I'm just waiting on God.
God be like, I'm waiting on you.
What are you doing? And so yeah, I'm just really excited for the impact that's going to be created, but I can definitely say about 60% of my time is going to be towards pushing my book. And so if anyone wants to support me or connect me with people, that's really what I'm seeking. The other 40% is figuring out how do I now convert those people that have my book into a community, which is the Inner Circle Mastermind.
That's awesome. My mind and the vision that just came to me was as soon as you start the classes, the $35 classes, your next book is going to come out of that. So
oh, girl, I got 3 books.
Oh,
already.
yeah, okay. I was like, I already saw that.
Y'all want a little? Y'all want me to plant a seed of the next book I'm gonna do?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let me tell y'all.
I'm like, yeah, go tell us, girl.
So this was another masterclass I created during 2020. When I said 2020, I was just ideating and putting stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna use this.
We were inside, so that was good.
I'm like, I don't know when, but I just have all these ideas of stuff. And so the global economy operates with 8 different forms of capital. 5 of those forms of capital are based on humans. Human capital. So you have your intellectual capital, your mind. You have your social capital, your relationships. You have your cultural capital, your experiences and traditions. Then you have your spiritual capital, which is your faith. And then the 5th one is your, I forgot the 5th one. But 5 out of the 8 forms of capital that the global economy needs comes from us as human beings, meaning that we can control our own personal economy if we focus on those different forms of capital that are all embedded within us. And so that is going to be my next book, and I haven't come up with the official title or anything, but it's somewhere around how to develop your own personal economy.
Girl, why did I almost say Capital One? Then I realized that was weird. We're gonna move on. I was like, oh, but
we should partner with them.
Yeah. The cafe. Okay. So this is how we talk on the phone. Can we give a round of applause to the Clarity Coach? So you guys heard the different ways to support her. If you can, please extend that support to her. Obviously, she is, like I said, poured so much love into this book. So get a copy of the book. That's your first thing. And then tell people to get a copy. Share it with people, Gen Z, Gen A, Gen B, all the
Gen
gens.
X,
right, all of them.
Any baby boomers in the room? Ganny? They probably won't indulge, but, it's all good.
She didn't like that. Let's move on. Anyway, we want to thank you, and we're so proud of you. This is just the epitome of who you are and how you've poured into so many people, and I'm so glad that everybody was able to be here to pour into you. Congratulations. We love you. I love you.
I love you too.
This is a beautiful launch, and so you guys continue to support her, and congratulations, my dear.
Yay, thank you. Okay. So technical stuff, right? All right, so I'm gonna do signings over here. So y'all can kind of come 3 people at a time. We can talk, 2 minutes, picture, and then we can roll out. Okay? Where's that good pen I had? Oh,